Hello everyone, I do have the flu right now, so this chapter review will be kinda weird, but bear with me. This is chapter 17 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. It released a couple days ago, and it was kind of an interesting chapter. Not in the sense of, crazy things happen, crazy revelations. It was kind of comedic and had a different vibe that kind of served to give more life to our characters and personality outside of the narrative, which I very much enjoyed and didn't expect. With that being said, here's the chapter review. The chapter starts off with Sarada still thinking about Sumire's words. And Mitsuki kind of picks up on this. He sees that it's visibly affecting her, so he kind of asks her, what's bothering you? But Sarada kind of brushes it off. This will be important later because I think in the coming chapters, this is going to make Sarada kind of off her game because she's caring about what her friends are saying and trying to see if she's truly the problem. Fast forward, we see Ryu and Matsuri. Matsuri tells us that by listening to the trees, she can track Boruto, even while in the desert, because trees are everywhere, even deep underground. This is because Ryu tries to point out that they're in the desert, so he kind of doesn't see any trees, and how could they talk to her if there's no trees around? So she kind of gives this explanation. Cool little tidbit on her hacks and her wood style, I guess. It was just an interesting ability. While this is happening, the good guys are basically telling us the plan, and the intel that they've gained from Konoha is correct so far. We learned a little more about Yodo, and that she's a bit of a hothead and seemingly gets mad very easily, because she starts to argue with Arya. Now, she is just very passionate about her teammate Shinji being in the predicament he is, so it's kind of understandable why she's mad, but everyone's kind of taken off guard by it because she's almost going to mess up the entire plan, which would in turn ruin everything, not get Shinji freed, and kill all of them. So everyone's like, calm down, let's just go on with the plan, and we've basically come too far for you to mess everything up right now. After jumping down from the little hideout and meeting the Shinju, Matsuri reacts kinda strangely to Konohamaru specifically, which later gets explained because Moegi has secret feelings for Konohamaru that even she isn't aware of. It kinda opens up Matsuri to fall into the trap, right? She's so caught off guard, blushing, and unable to talk and handle herself that Konohamaru has an easy time separating her from Ryu, and they go on off somewhere to talk alone. After the scenes of Matsuri blushing uncontrollably are over, which are kind of funny, we get the actual reason for why this matters specifically. It's basically gaining their trust and then killing them or backstabbing them once their guard is lowered. Shikamaru knows this isn't like what Naruto would do, but it is what he's prepared to do as Hokage. This is perfect for me, and I enjoyed this part a lot because it separates what kind of a Hokage Shikamaru is and what kind of Hokage Naruto is. This also got highlighted in part 1 when Shikamaru was asking Naruto if he's prepared to kill Boruto. And even when Borushiki was going to attack Naruto and Naruto was freezing up, Shikamaru told him he had to do something. Shikamaru was always prepared to do the things that Naruto wasn't, and he was always prepared to make the heavy decisions. It's just what kind of cold and logical person he is. Which, not saying that Naruto not being this is a downside, but it's just nice to see kind of a different pace. This followed by Shikamaru explaining how they aren't inherently evil or good, but operate purely off instinct, which kind of implies something more sinister, that Konoha are being the evil ones in this scenario. The logic goes, since they are knowingly backstabbing and betraying these basically toddlers who they've already said aren't inherently evil or good, it kind of paints them as a villain and paints them to be worse than what Naruto would have done, because as you know, Naruto is loving and would probably try to do a different route other than being sneaky and kinda making them fall into a trap and killing them once their guard is lowered. Naruto is just not that type of person, and that's not the type of person that he would want people to be around him. But Shikamaru, for the planet's survival, he says he's willing to go this far. Which I don't necessarily disagree with Shikamaru, because since the stakes are so high and these enemies are so bad and so powerful, they kind of have no choice. Yes, it may seem like a edgy or bad thing to do and something that kind of goes against what Konoha is supposed to represent, but sometimes you just have to dig deeper. Sometimes you have to do things that you weren't prepared to do in the past. Different scenarios require different reactions. This is just one of those times to where you just have to be bad. You have to be the bad guys. You have to put on different shoes. You have to kind of go in the shadows. Something that is again completely on cue for Shikamaru. While this is happening though, we're kind of getting more insight on Ryu's personality. Ryu, just like all of the Shinju, kind of has this quirk about him. His quirk is that he is extremely gullible because Sarada, I guess Sarada just for the most part since she's doing most of the talking, is getting information and getting him to follow her very easily. He doesn't even question anything she says. Every time she says something or tells him something, he's just like, okay man, like, yeah, good. This is nice, like, oh, this is going so smooth. Which I find very funny because we always know that they were kind of born yesterday, but he actually acts like he was born yesterday. Which is very funny because even the way he talks about Jura, Matsuri, and all the other Shinju, it's kind of like he's the little brother of the group and he respects everyone and just believes whatever he's told. It's just a kind of another funny part of the dynamic of the Shinju that I enjoyed a lot from this chapter. This chapter is much more chill than the other ones, but like I said, it's just a breath of fresh air, you know, for the characters, and giving more personality is never a bad thing. Japanese fans have also said he's supposed to talk like a punk rock teen or something, like when they were looking at the kanji and kind of looking at the way his sentences come out. It's kind of supposed to be on that vibe, which doesn't really come through in the English one. It kind of comes through more goofy in the English translations, and you know, I'm not a Japanese talker, Japanese speaker, so can't really comment on that, but that's, I guess, a cool little tidbit as well. All the Shinju seem to have something emotionally that kind of holds them back. Matsuri, hers is their unexplainable love that even Moegi didn't understand, which kind of makes her unable to operate normally around Konohamaru, which she loves so much. Ryu, like I just said, is very gullible and like a little brother of everyone and just believes anything he's told. Hidari is far too ruthless and bloodthirsty. It kind of blinds him. We see that when he kind of just went head first into trying to kill Sarada and the Leaf Shinobi, that he didn't even take his time to think that he couldn't use Chidori correctly. Jura has a thirst for knowledge and how curious he is. You know, he wants to read all the time. This is kind of why he's not going through with his mission right now, capturing Himawari. And Bug, for right now, we kind of don't know what his quirk or emotion that holds him back, which I'm kind of interested to think what it's going to be, because it can't be the love or being ruthless like Hidari. It has to be something that kind of parallels with Ida, his target, or at least something that parallels with Bug as a character, which I'm so excited for the future of these villains. This group is just being more than what I thought it would be. The next part of the chapter is another interesting part because we get Boruto and Koji's dynamic. People always thought after Sasuke, since Koji was the next person in line, Boruto was going to kind of form this bond with him and they were going to kind of be Jiraiya and Naruto-esque. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems they have like a strictly business relationship, because just the vibe and way they talk to each other in this chapter told me that it's not really any happiness between them. And it's not the same relationship that he had with Sasuke, which I personally am grateful for because I did not want a rehash of him and Sasuke. We get kind of a hint of this when he asks Koji what's, you know, the survival percentage, like what's the number, how this plan is gonna go. Koji is still kind of vague about everything and saying, oh, Boruto, you just can't die, we need you for the mission. And Boruto kind of reaffirms, oh, that's not what I asked, like I asked the number, right? You're not giving it to me. And then like the whole interaction ends off on like Boruto's like mean glance at Koji, which is kind of off-putting and just shows us that we really didn't have all the answers and we really just went in blindly assuming everything. A part I kind of forgot to mention that it's just one page is that Koji is asking Ida to kind of look at what's happening in Sand Village. That's kind of how him and Boruto get on this topic. Ida's still kind of shaken up about what happened with Bug and how he can kind of peer into that Senryagon dimension that she uses to spy on people. But he says Mamushi should be at their base, no chance of him seeing you. And she's still like, well, you better not be wrong. It's kind of funny to see like the one person who's had a lasting effect on Ida and kind of ruffles her feathers is Bug. It's just something that I never thought I would be saying. While all of that chaos is happening, Jura is just in a bookshop shopping for books, and the bookstore owner is kind of just surprised that this Ten Tails humanoid monster shopping and just getting books all willy-nilly. And then Shikamaru gets alerted that there's a chakra data matched. It's Jura. He's currently inside of the bookstore in Sector C. Shikamaru just tells everyone to ignore him, don't leave, don't rush out anywhere, don't evacuate, and relay this to everyone. Do not engage. So they're actually like scared shitless of Jura. Like it's actually no joke. And they have to kind of keep themselves calm and collected and act like everything's normal, or else Jura's gonna get mad and destroy everything. But what's even funnier here is Jura actually has a stack of money. Like, he's only been on Earth for what, 2 days, 3 days at most, and he already has more cash than a lot of people that we've seen in the verse. But yeah, he pays for all of the books, and even like puts down in advance. Like, he tells the people, keep the change, you know, these are from my future books that I'm gonna buy. And the store owner's just like, well, as you wish, look forward to seeing you. It's just kind of funny that we're gonna be seeing Jura visit the bookstore a lot and just not be messed with by anyone. Just gonna act like a normal citizen of Konoha. Then we get by far the funniest part of the chapter, because it just comes out of nowhere, and it's only like 2 pages. Amato's sitting there doing his weird spying old geezer gimmick, and he kind of tries to light a cigarette. A hand comes from behind him, takes the cigarette out of his mouth, and he's just kind of shocked. He's like, oh, Kawaki. And before he can even get the full sentence out, Kawaki pushes him against the wall and tells him, right, I got a bunch of stuff to say about you, but just give me my powers. And Amato's like, well, I knew you were going to be dropping by, and chapter just abruptly ends. That's literally it. Ikimoto's ability to kind of juggle all of these narrative and characters within one chapter and still pull it out so smoothly, it's kind of just something that I have to praise, right? Because the chapter didn't feel like it was cluttered with a bunch of events that didn't matter. It actually felt natural and actually felt like it flowed. Like, it made sense why all of these characters were interacting the way they were, and it made sense why all of these characters were kind of just, you know, doing the things that they were doing. Like, Jura was in the bookshop, Matsuri was having her mental breakdown due to her feelings for Konohamaru, Sarada was dealing with her internal problems, and Kawaki had his bit with Amato. Like I said at the beginning, it's just like a breath of fresh air. And it just gives us more personality and reasons to care about these characters, which I think every manga, even though, you know, they kind of leave it up to the anime, most manga, because all mangas have like a page limit and they can only release a chapter if they're weekly, you know, once a week, or if they're monthly like Boruto, once a month. They kind of have to leave a lot of stuff to be desired, but the fact that a chapter like this can exist makes me happy. I very much enjoyed this chapter. No action though, which I thought it was going to be a big battle, but I guess, you know, subverting of expectations. I'll give this chapter an 8 out of 10. Right? More life into Konoha, more life into the Naruto and Boruto world, and gave more personality to our villains. Looking forward to next month though, because that should be where Kawaki possibly gets his limiters off and they possibly take out Ryu, but things don't always go as planned. You know how it is. It is Boruto at the end of the day. Anything can happen. I mean, Momoshiki could randomly appear and it would make sense. Boruto just has so many things that can go wrong at once. It's just funny. With that being said though, sorry for bringing you guys a flu-filled, you know, chapter review. I just get sick very easily. I'm probably going to be sick on Christmas, which kind of sucks, but I'll power through it, you know. So yeah, sorry for sounding like shit. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and goodbye.